Ollie's Cuts.
Hello.
Thanks for being on here. And when we bring people on, we like to vet people too. Like we're not going to just bring on any barber. So
I appreciate
it.
They got to be awesome.
If you can tame this mane that I have going on, then I know we're going to have you on.
I appreciate that.
So yeah, so
you made the cut.
Yeah.
No pun intended.
Tell us how Ollie's Cuts came into fruition there.
Shoot, that's like, so this is where like my spectrum comes out. I'm like, do you want the long or the short? I guess, you know. I've wanted to be a barber my whole life.
Really?
So yeah, I'm literally living a dream right now.
That's awesome.
Yeah, my whole so my like I've always been into fashion and clothes and hair. Like I was that elementary school kid who like combed his hair over and made sure it was perfect and right. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like I had little curls when I was younger, and I remember watching a house party at my dad's house on cable and being like, I want a flat top so bad. Like, that's amazing. You know what I mean? And
Like
you always
this.
want what you can't have.
I couldn't have it. Yeah. We even went in. I told my mom, she had no idea what I was talking about, right? I was like, Mom, I want a flat top. And she's like, okay, whatever. Takes me to this great barbershop that's not around anymore, but it's totally just like your standard white guy barbershop. I don't know how to say it any different. I don't mean in a bad way,
Like
but you know, like
the Tom Peterson.
right, exactly, yes. And so like we walked in, and I remember sitting there as a young man on the bench watching my mom speak with the barber, trying to tell him like, you know, he wants a flat top, and the barber being like, what? Like giving her a look like, are you crazy? Like he doesn't have the hair, because it does take a specific type of hair. That's just, it is what it is, right? And I don't have the curl pattern. And
I don't have the curl pattern.
I just don't. Like, and so she came back and she was like, you're getting a comb over. And like, that's, you know, and I was like, oh, okay. But it's always been a thing. And my stepfather used to cut our hair. And there's a lot of us, like, not to get too far off, but like my family split up. There were 4 of us originally, and then both parents new parents at least I should say, brought children with them, right?
Okay.
So total I have 9 brothers, 6 sisters.
Wow.
Yeah. So, but we're like, at least for me, because I was so young, we were Brady Bunched.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're all my family, you know?
Yeah.
And my stepdad, it was nice. There were so many boys on that side. I think he learned to cut hair because it was just a little bit more convenient,
more cost effective.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
So did you live with all of them all at once like that?
-3.
Okay.
Some are so, because like there's age gaps, just like huge age gaps, right?
Yeah.
As well. So like I'm 3rd from the bottom total, 2nd from the bottom on each side, if that makes sense.
Yep.
I think I said it right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So so I have 2 little sisters,
Yeah.
basically right below me. But yeah, I remember when I was very young, like I have memories of like going on camping trips with all the kids available and everything, and it was chaos. I don't know how my parents did it.
It was chaos.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I mean,
You're like,
most
we
of us
had a
were
great
boys.
time, but-
That's the thing. Like when you go camping, it's like when you have kids, it's more like a refugee camp. It's not camping. It's just like managing stuff and trying to keep it under control. It's not fun.
Yeah, absolutely.
The kids have a blast.
Yeah.
But
Oh
yeah.
yeah, and that's exactly it. Like
Yeah.
I had a great time. I remember having amazing times.
My
as
mom
kids,
was
right?
crying over here. But
Yeah, she did, and I'm like, oh, I understand. You weren't just crazy. You were just normal. Like then just dealing with us. And so,
Moms everywhere
yeah.
are validated right now.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I remember the time when I called my dad. My son was 3, and he was being a normal 3-year-old testing boundaries, you know. But like I was having a day, right?
Yeah.
And I called my dad up, and I was like, hey, how you doing? He's like, hi, good. How's everything? I go, I'm sorry. And he goes, what? What's the matter? What did you do? You know, like, and I was like, no, I'm just sure I owe it to you for something I've done.
I do that to my mom.
You know, yeah. And I was like, so I just want to say I'm sorry. And
I
he
have
just
no
started
guilt.
laughing.
You have no guilt,
I love
Ryan.
that. Yeah, that's awesome.
He's like, I owned every action.
Yeah. Well, I mean, some of them. Yeah. But absolutely. And he just laughed, and we had a good conversation after that. He was like, you know, tell me what's going on. And then he just rubs it back in my face, right? Like, well, that's, you know, you did that too. And
I'm glad you brought that up.
Yeah. Yeah. He's like, let's talk about that. Remember the time you burned the neighbor's bushes down? I was like, we don't need to, you know, it's fireworks, so we don't need to talk
Sorry
about
for that, too.
Yeah, exactly. But, so the barbering, to jump back to that, so he cut our hair, and it was always great, and I loved having my hair done. And something just, I really love working with my hands. and
Very tactile.
Very
Yeah.
tactile. Yeah. I'm very monkey see, monkey do, for lack of a better word of saying it too, right? Like, you show me how to do something, I'll pick up on it first try. If you give me a book to read how to do it, I'll learn how to do it, but it's not going to be, you know what I mean? It's
You got to
quick,
make
right?
mistakes. You gotta
Exactly.
do it yourself.
Yeah. I'm gonna be like, what did they exactly mean by this? And so, and just being able to, like, I know how I felt when I went and got a haircut. You know that feeling, like everybody goes like to the hairstylist as well, right? We all have that feeling of you walk out and you're like, I feel like $1 million right now. Like I feel like I could take
do
on
anything.
the world. Yeah, exactly. And how cool to give that feeling. And I'm very
you get
much
that fresh haircut smell.
Yeah, it really is.
Yeah.
That's a good way of putting it. Yeah, because there is, like, especially if you go to, like, if you're going to a high quality barber who uses aftershave, you are going to get a fresh haircut smell.
Yeah.
Like, you know, like I have guys that come in. It's funny you say that because they come in and they're like, "What's the aftershave you use?" Like, my wife loves it. Like, every time I come home, she like sniffs me and is like, "Oh, you smell so good." You know, and so
You can't tell them. You got to get them to come back.
No, I sell it in little bottles, right? You know,
Just enough.
just enough. Yeah. Well, I'm like they spray 400 times, like, you know, which is crazy because they're tiny, like you wouldn't expect. But that's a whole side note thing. But yeah, it is a whole fresh haircut smell and a feeling, and I really wanted to be in the medical field, but I passed out of blood and grand mal seizure. It's a blast. So not my, you know, I'm not in that area, right? You know, it's not an area I should be in. So this was another, like, it was another way, something I wanted to obtain, but in a way also it seemed unobtainable. Because, like, when we were growing up and stuff, well, I think, like, you know, we're similar in age. I think you're younger than I am, right?
45.
That's fine. Oh, you're older. See, I always confuse that. Yeah. But we're in the same age range. Yeah. So.
Because you got the Tom
It was
Peterson reference.
Right,
so.
exactly. Yeah, Tom and Glorious too, right? Yes, 100%. I know exactly what you're talking about. It's so funny.
20-year-olds are like, what?
They're
Also,
like,
I
who's
have no idea
who's Tom
Gloria?
Peterson?
Yeah.
What is a furniture store? Yeah.
Yeah, it's a furniture store, and they gave you one haircut.
What's a commercial on TV?
Yeah.
Exactly. We always joked, like, if they get, like, split up and, like, that was part of the divorce, is that she got to be part of, like, the
There you
furniture
go.
store too. I don't know if that's the case. I'm not trying to start a rumor. That was just what we always wanted, I guess. But I guess that's
You
starting
made
a
your
rumor.
own narrative.
But yeah, absolutely. You know, there was no internet back then, right? So I mean, it's what you had to do. But yeah, it was like $10 for a haircut.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It was really, and not that that's a bad thing. Because I want to be clear. Like, I believe in value. Like, even like with really nice things, I don't mind spending some good money on something that's going to last and be nice. But also, there is a point where it may cost too much to be even value it. Does that make sense?
Sure.
Like whiskeys or something like that. Like, there's a certain point to where I don't care how good your whiskey, how smooth it is, how good it is. Like, it just costs too much. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
Like,
It's a collectible at that point.
Right, exactly. And you almost don't want to drink it, and then you can't enjoy it. And I'm not that guy. Like, my brother was that guy. We used to collect Star Wars figures and G.I. Joes, and he would buy two, right? You know, one for the shelf, one for to play with. And I was that kid who was like, we need to unwrap that toy and play
I
with it.
didn't think that far ahead. I should have thought that far ahead.
Same. Yeah.
All of those Star Wars toys, I think, ended up in the attic and probably melted halfway.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we were blowing them up, all that stuff. I mean, yeah. And so I, through a couple different things, like my stepfather, he was a great man. He is a great man. And he's a carpenter. He's like living his passion. He's actually like one of the most like Christ-like men I've ever met in my life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, like literally a carpenter. You know, I've only seen him get like angry once, and it was deserved. Like, my mom and I, like, can I cuss on this or anything? I'm not gonna. Like, yeah. Okay. So I was a young man. I'm not proud of this moment, but we're being honest, right? My mom and I were in an argument. And I called her a bitch. You know, I was like, "You're being." Yeah, I know. I'm not like.
Yeah, you called her up and apologized.
No, we've like crushed this since then, of course. Yeah. Like I said, not
He's
my
still
proudest
sorry.
moment. Yeah. Sorry, Mom. But so, I remember he was at, like, to give you like the layout, right? So my mom and I are arguing. I don't even remember what now. Like, I want to leave, probably go hang out with friends or something, right? Like, there's some disagreement. She's in front of the door. I'm like in this hallway. There are stairs up to bedrooms to our left. To our right, there's like a living room with a couch and a TV, and then a dining room. And my stepfather Myron's in the dining room, and he's doing the checkbook, right, balancing everything. And And my mom and I are arguing, and it's not like we're not like crazy, yelling at each other. I don't want to like oversell this, right?
It wasn't that huge.
Right, but
nothing's being thrown.
She's like, "You're not leaving," and I'm like, "I'm gonna leave." And she's like, "No, you're not. Like, you're in trouble." Like I said, I don't even remember what I did or whatever. I think I got a bad grade or something, And I was like, "You're being such a bitch," like that. That's
as
it.
soon as you say it, like,
yeah. It's not like literally. I was like, but I'm like trying to be a strong like young teenage man as well. I'm like, I'm a man. I'm not right. But I'm like, I'm here. And then like, it was like the audible sound because we had hardwood floors my father had put in. Like, you know what I mean? Like. And it was the chair on the hardwood floor of, and like I turned and looked, and this man had been my father since I like was 5, right? So he's even though my dad was in my life as well, he had put in a lot of effort and earned some time. He's a father figure, but I'd never seen him angry. Like my older brothers had talked about like getting disciplined by my father, and I was like, your dad is not like my dad yells. Yeah. Like my dad's the crazy one. Your dad's not crazy. You know what I mean? But I think there's almost anybody who's ever been in sports, I think will tell you like you have 2 types of coaches, right? You have the one who yells all the time. And you're just like, well, whatever, he yells.
It's just white noise.
Right. And then you have the one who, like, when he says something, like, it means something. Yeah. Do you know what I'm saying? Yeah. You're almost like, he might kill me. Yeah. Like, and that's kind of like, that's kind of what my stepfather was like. Like, he was just always super nice. He would make little jokes here and there, He always kind of just had his crap together, And my mom was very everywhere. Which was the opposite. It was funny how, like, they kind of attracted. And he did really well of, like, not that it was his job, right? But he did well of keeping her kind of, like... contained.
Like reining her in.
Yeah. Yep. And so, with that, he obviously I crossed a line, saying that. He, like, pushed his chair back. He, like, started walking towards me. And still, like... this like not lifeless expression, you know what I mean? But it wasn't quite like it. Like I was like my dad and my mom had passion in their eyes when they were angry. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. Like you could tell there was anger. He just like was like, "I'm coming for you." Yeah. Like that kind of look. You know?
Should run.
Yeah. No. And I've never been more scared in my life. I'm not lying to you guys. Like there was that moment of I was like. I don't know what's going to happen. Yeah. This is the old gypsy lady was right. Yeah. This is how I die. Like And so I just ran up the stairs. He caught me. He was a 6 foot something. Like no, he was exactly 6 foot, and he was just a built carpenter man. Not muscular, but just thick, right? If that makes sense.
Just solid.
Solid. Thank you. That's a good way of saying it. And he caught me halfway up the stairs. I was a $125 because I was wrestling at the time. That's how I know how much I was weighing. And picked me up like a rag doll, carried me up the rest of the stairs, threw me on my bed. Looked at me and pointed at me and said, "Don't you ever talk to your mother like that again." And slammed my door, and I could have peed myself in the moment. Like, I kid you not. Like it was the scariest. Like out of all like my parents yelling or like freaking out or anything, And I'm not saying like I didn't deserve it necessarily at times as well, right? I don't want to like paint them in a bad picture. But that was like the scariest. It's funny like what has the most impact sometimes. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it was just that subtle, like, just straightforward moment. And I was just like, okay. Like, I'm sorry. But other than that, that's the only time I've ever seen, in all the years he's been my father, that's the only time I've ever seen him. Like, that was it. You know what I mean? Like, I've seen my mom.
It's the quiet ones you got to worry.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. Yeah. And that's the truth of it, though. My old barber, he just retired. He's a gentle giant. That's what we joke about. Like, his 2 brothers are jokesters. Like they'll make fun of you like on your hardest day, and out of love though. That sounds bad, but like out of love. And he just isn't that guy. He's very quiet and very nice, and very gentle. But like we've always said that about him. Like the day Brian snaps is the day. Like I don't want to be around him. Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Exactly. Right. That's
you gotta watch out for the Brians.
Yeah. But and that's the thing. Yeah. The quiet guys. Or ladies, you never know anybody. Yeah.
So you're a barber. You probably have to be pretty picky to pick a barber. When a barber comes in and says, "I want you to cut my hair," you probably feel like, oh.
Oh yeah, I mean because I've cut some barbers' hair, and there's definitely like, not that I don't feel on every time, because I do every single haircut I do. Yeah. Like I have to perform. There's no there's no lazy days. Like I used to work in sales and you'd be like, I can kind of just like
phone it
make
in.
this happen. Yeah. Every single haircut, it needs to be perfect, because if that haircut isn't perfect, then they're going to know, and it's not even necessarily like like something we talk about in the barber world is like, it's not even that you're going to see it in the mirror before you leave. It's that you're going to see it, the wife, right? The friends. They're going to see it and go, "Ooh, what happened?
What happened to you?"
Yeah, what's that part back there? Yeah, and they're like, what's wrong?
When you get bald back here.
Exactly, right? And it's hard. And then it's hard too as a barber. Like, so I just had to find a new barber, right? I actually just got my hair cut earlier today. And
I was gonna say, who cuts Barber's hair?
Other barbers, but I mean, not some.
I'm just doing it myself.
I do sometimes, but so if I was doing a bald fade, or a fade generally all around, I would do it myself, because fades are a little bit easier to do on yourself. Yeah. You're dealing with a lot of angles, right? A taper requires a little bit more exact work in certain areas, like behind the ear and everything.
Like precision. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. And so it's just why do it yourself? You know what I mean? Like when you can just go pay somebody, give them some money in their pocket, and have them do it. Like so. Yeah. That's the taper is something I've been trying, because I've been trying to play with my curls on top a little bit, and he did a really good job. I want to be clear. He did exactly what I asked him. So there's my next comments mean nothing against like his talent or anything like that, right? I asked him to take too much off the top. Yeah. And so and you don't necessarily know until sometimes you do it, right? You know what I mean? You have to go through that. Because like once it curls in, after I take a shower and it curls in, it's going to be even shorter than it is right now. Yeah. And so, but it looks really good. Like I'm very happy with it. I'm not trying to complain. He's a really good barber. Like I love the shop they just opened up. They have a great feel. Funny enough, there was another barber from another barber shop in there getting his hair cut at the same time. Oh, that's funny. And we all know each other. So it was a really nice environment, time to talk. You know what I mean? And for the most part, like a lot of us barbers in this area are trying to build a community and like trying to breed more of not a competition, but a cooperation.
Yeah, I was wondering how competitive it is, and like, is the market oversaturated or undersaturated with it?
Well, I mean, it just thinks it depends on how you look at things, right? Is what I would say. So you can drive down the road and maybe see a bunch of barbershops and feel like, wow, it's oversaturated. But then when you look at the raw numbers of things, most barbers or hairstylists need about 120 clients on average to stay busy about 80 hours a week, right? The reason they say that is because like I have guys I see twice a year, and then I have guys I see twice a month. I have guys I see once a month, or once a week, so 4 times a month, So because of that, that's why you need such a broad spectrum of people, because you're not going to see everybody all the time, and just to fill all those hours. So going back to that number of 120 people, the last time I checked, and this was a couple years ago, so I'm sure we've even grown since then, but there were 300,000 people in Salem.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And I need 120, right? 150 at max to really like fully be booked. So there's more than enough. There's more than enough heads, right? You know what I mean? For us all to share, and everybody can eat and be happy. There's no reason to like fight with each other and try to like dirty each other's names or stuff like that, because it just doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't help out at the end of the day, right?
Doesn't serve anybody.
Yeah. And that's not like for me. Like part of going back to being barbering, like. I'm not Mormon anymore. Nothing against that religion, just wasn't for me. But one thing I did love about it was the positivity mindset that they had, and how they really pushed a lot of trying to bring positivity into the world and be a positive light, despite like things that might come bad towards you, to still try to be positive. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so that's kind of something as well. Like I don't do designs. I'm not going to cut designs into your hair. I'm not that barber. And some people want that, and that's okay. I would love to have somebody I trust that I can push somebody off. Not push somebody. That's the wrong word per se.
No,
you know what I mean?
That relationship that you can refer them over to.
Refer. Thank you. Yeah. Exactly. Because one, if they're my client already, or there's somebody who comes to me because they trust me, I don't want to send them to somebody who's going to treat them bad, because that reflects on me, right? And so obviously that. And then 2, like, I want to make sure everybody's taken care of and everybody's eating as well. Like, I have a specific niche. They have a specific niche. Like, we all can hit, everybody, essentially.
Well, and then if you can be a resource for your clients for areas that you don't serve, like, they're gonna, that cements in their brain, too, in the future. Like, it's what's that theory of reciprocity sort of thing? Like, if you give somebody something. I
can never say that word.
I know, it's a big word.
Yeah, I know. I nailed it.
Say it again? Yeah, no, you did. Reciprocity.
So but we were talking about the whole, on a previous episode, community over competition, where it's like you don't have to fight with people for market share. Like, just learn to work together and,
just fill the gaps.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, like my place, I kind of push. I started, I did a pivot. So I worked in sales for many years. Sales was something I found very easily to do, despite being awkward sometimes. I just treated people like people, and go figure they trusted me, and then I just made sure they had what they needed. I didn't try to oversell people or anything like that. And it did really well. I made a lot of money in it, but I wasn't happy, What
kind of sales did you do?
Oh man, everything. Like, the only thing I didn't do, I actually got hired at a car lot, but I never sold cars. I went and like hung out with the guys. Like I did the interview, I got hired, and they're like, these are the guys you're going to be working with. And I went and talked with them, and I have a lot of friends that are car salesmen, and they're great people. So I want to be clear.
My dad was a car salesman.
Yeah. No. But like this specific group,
career,
I was like, this specific group, I was just, you never walk into a situation and you're just like, I don't know if this feels right.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I'm kind of big on energy and stuff like that, and kind of following that kind of feeling. And so it just wasn't for me, and like I said, some of my best friends are car salesmen. Like,
it takes a specific type of person that can like survive and thrive in that industry too.
Yeah.
My dad is built for that. Like, I feel like that's what he was made to do, sort of thing.
Absolutely.
But I also see people that tried to follow that same path, but they were like, nope, I'm out. I'm gonna go take this skill set and put it somewhere else. So totally get it.
Yeah, and so I pivoted over to cell phone sales.
Okay.
Which I did really well at that time with that. I was in jewelry around that time. And jewelry was a lot of fun. I jumped from jewelry. I was selling at Aaron's Sales and Leasing. So we were selling everything there, like washer dryers, kitchen sinks. No, I mean, not the kitchen sinks, but the stoves. Everything. That's the saying. Yeah. Okay. See, my brain's trying to catch up. Everything but yeah, everything there. Like, and then I actually had to do some collections for them as well. And that's why I jumped out of that job. Because I just don't want to talk to people about their bills.
Yeah.
And have to do. It wasn't like the
like,
killer
hey,
for me.
It's me.
Yeah,
you know why I'm calling.
We got to knock on doors too. Like, I was that guy.
No.
Oh yeah, I just show up with like the truck and be like, hey, if you don't pay me right now, I'm taking your stuff.
That's
like, I was that guy. Oh, very much so.
Wow.
So and like So I started in sales with him as the sales manager, and then my son was just born at that time, right? So I was trying to hustle and do whatever I could. It was in around 2008, so like. There was the
economy was great.
It was just the best. If you guys remember, it was no concern about having a job whatsoever. Yeah. So I was just making sure my bills were paid. Yeah. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I only have the one son, so I was fresh of being a dad, and I wanted to move up and make more money. So to become a general store manager, you had to go through the account side, right? So that's where I kind of fell into that. That's how I fell into the account side of things. And I tried to work with everybody. Like I said, we're all human, right? If you called me and you told me when you were going to pay, I would put something in, and I would even extend it beyond that as long as you talked to me, right? I just needed something to tell my boss. I don't care when you pay your bill. Like, it doesn't change anything for me on my end, right? Yeah. It's not my money. Like, so, but if people would avoid me or stuff like that, that's when I would have to go out to their houses and actually track them down. Because there would people who would intentionally sign up to steal the stuff. Like it does happen. It's like a whole culture and thing. Like it's Rent-A-Center is kind of a similar industry, a little different but similar. Because with Aaron's, like I feel like I'm an Aaron's commercial right now.
That's okay.
Because with Aaron's,
they're actually set up for you to own it. No, but that's like what they sell you on, right? But again, like there are people, because you would come in, like we would do deals where it's like 99 cents down and you get your stuff delivered today and you don't have to make your first payment till next month, right? So, I mean, you can get a whole living room
How come we
set
never get those deals?
with 99 cents. And then you just move and never tell us you're moving, which happens. Like people would do it right. I go ahead and deliver it, and then the next day they plan on moving.
Intentional.
Right? No, full on intentional.
Oh, no.
Like like quitting, like moving like to a whole other like not country, states, but yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
Like, so it's stuff like that. Some people I'm sure just hit hard times, things like that, right? There's a lot of stuff that can happen. There were two though that were like the worst. I had to show up to get a couch, and the parents couldn't pay it, unfortunately, right? So I was like, all right, well, I have to take it, and they're like, okay, well, you have to go in and get it from the living room. I'm like, okay. So I walk in, but there's like two little girls sitting on the couch, right? And I'm a fresh father as well, mind you. So like I have all these like emotions I didn't have before.
The human
like,
side of you comes out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's incredibly
That
crazy.
was my kid that's sitting there, like what?
Right, like before, I always joke that like my son like brought out all the like I didn't like have all these emotions. I was a very happy uncle. Like, not that I didn't care about kids, you know what I mean? But it was like, it's a kid, And now, like you said, it's like, oh, what if that was my kid right there, like, and so I was like, okay, they're like, you have to tell them, and I'm like, all right, so I'm trying to save face.
They want you to tell their kids.
Yeah.
Aww.
So I go, hey guys, I need you to get off the couch. There's actually a tear in it that we're gonna get fixed, and then we'll bring it back later. But I need to take it right now. So then I'm trying to give the parents an out, right, to be able to talk to their kids, whatever, figure out a plan. And the mom goes, no, he's not. That's a lie. He's taking our couch. And they're like,
the monster's coming to take our
And it's
couch.
like, it's this like December-ish time, right? So they look at us and they go, why are you taking our couch before Christmas? And I'm like, are you kidding me? Like,
so who's the monster there?
Right, and so, but like at the time, like I have a problem with being a people pleaser. So like I feel more hurt about it, than I'm sure they do. Like they're totally hitting my heart. But like, so that sucked. I still took the couch, but that sucked.
I still took the couch.
I can
Well,
see
with me.
here's the thing. I have a child too, and he needed diapers. So, at the end of the
it was
day,
Christmas time,
yeah,
so.
I was getting my job done. I don't know what they were doing. But,
So I do see a progression out of there.
yeah, absolutely.
And I can see why being a barber is so much better.
Oh yes,
than-
yeah,
than-
way, but like
Everybody's
and that's the
excited
thing.
to see you.
Oh
like,
yeah, that
You
was
collect
another
the money
thing.
on the spot. You don't have to get the money like a
No,
gonna
there's
need
no
that
hold
back.
off or anything. I told Brian that too. When I became a barber, that's funny you said everybody's happy to see you because I was in cell phones right before that, and nobody's happy to see a cell phone guy.
Yeah.
Like it's your phone just broke down. There's right reasons. Like sometimes the company screwed you over or something. And so people come in and they be like, all right, listen, cell phone guy, I know you're going to fuck me over, so this is what we're doing. It's like, oh, pleasure to meet you too, sir. Like, yeah, is that your mom with you? Hi, miss. Jeez. And so...
it's a process. It's like 4-hour process to switch phones.
It's a
over,
lot,
and
yeah.
Like now we got to upload all your stuff.
Yeah, the nice thing is that like now you can just sign in, basically. Like it was funny because I wouldn't do anything really. Like you almost felt really useless because they'd be like, all right, do it for me. And I'm like, okay, so enter your password in and your sign in. And they'd be like, okay. Finish it. And I'm like, oh, it does it now. We're just going to sit here.
Yeah.
And they're like, what? I could have done this at home. I'm like, I know.
Yep. So how's your day?
Yeah. So do you know we sell AirPods? You can put them on your bill. You don't have to worry about it. Yeah. And so, but I was getting my haircut by Brian, my old barber, and I was telling him how much his job was amazing.
Wait, hold on. Another Brian?
Yeah.
So your stepdad's name is Brian?
No, my stepdad's Myron.
Myron. I thought you said Brian.
And then,
okay.
Brian's the gentle giant.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I did earlier,
Okay,
yeah.
I'm connecting the dots.
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's a
I'm
lot
like,
of
there's a lot of Brian in
Rons.
these.
Yeah. I was kind of just like, I want to be clear. There's nothing wrong. Like Verizon just wasn't for me anymore. I don't want to like talk badly about it. It was a great vehicle to get me where I needed to get at the time, right? And took care of me in a good way. I was able to pay my bills very easily. But it wasn't for me, and ultimately I wasn't happy to go to work anymore, and it was coming out, And I told him, I was like, you have the best job. Like you get to make people feel great. Feel amazing. You have good music on. There's Predator on over there. We're watching awesome movies, like this is awesome. Like I know how good I feel when I leave your place. Like people hate seeing me at my job. Like and it was a simple question of, well, why don't you do it? And I was like, what? And I had mind you as well, I'd actually started cutting by this time as well on the side. So when my son turned 5, I started cutting his hair because it was a passion I never thought I could do. So like I hadn't even told my family I wanted to be a barber. No one knew.
Seriously.
No one knew. It was like one of those, I don't want to call it a dirty little secret because it's not like a dirty little secret.
It wasn't a bad secret. It was just like a, yeah.
It's just left field. Like, where did that come from?
Yeah, I thought I'd be like, it would be like if I told people like, I'd be like, I want to be a barber. They'd be like, ha, cool, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, yeah.
Yeah.
And I want to be an astronaut.
Yeah,
Like-
exactly. And that's exactly what I thought I was going to, like, the reaction would be. And so I don't want to, like, I say I think what a lot of men would do because I'm a man, and that's, like, the path I've had, right? But I'm sure a lot of women would feel this way, too. But, like, I chased what I thought I needed to do. Like, I needed to find a good job. I needed to take care of my son. I needed to make sure my bills were paid, and that's what I needed to do, right? You know, happiness wasn't really the top priority.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was for my son and making sure he's taken care of and being a provider, but not for me necessarily. And so, it just kind of was an eye-opener. It was like, well, what do you mean? He was like, well, you know, you cut your son's hair and you do a pretty good job and you've been doing it for a while. Like I've got kids, like, you know, and a wife that I'm putting through nursing school. Like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You could do it, you know? Yeah. And I was like, oh. And so I started looking at schools and kind of like chunking it together, you know what I mean, in my mind. Like,
is there a different school for barbers than like hairdressers? So
not necessarily schools, but courses. Okay. So the school I went to, they were hairstylists and then barbers as well. The main difference between the two, because they're licenses, is what you're essentially coming down to. So some states you're all included, and then like our state actually separates out the two. A hairstylist in Oregon essentially can do colors. So they're like a chemist. Like that's why I stayed away from that area. I wasn't trying to chemically burn anybody or anything like that. But I say that like to giving them a compliment, right? What they do is amazing. It truly is. Where a barber, we're trained to use a razor and then the aftershave. And so that's as far as haircuts, really we should both know same. Like I should know long haircuts and how to do those, and they should know how to do short haircuts. Because of the general styles of what they provide, a lot of long haircuts end up going to hairstylists. A lot of short haircuts end up going to barbers. And so you end up cutting more of those. But I have like 5 or 6 long hair clients.
I was gonna say, do you have any female clients? Or
I have female clients as well. Yeah, so I say long hair because not all of my long hair clients are female clients. You know what I mean? Yeah. So just to be, but I do have female clients as well. I've got a couple ladies, so we keep them super short, and kind of pixie style cuts and things like that. Not a lot, and that's okay. You know what I mean? But I kind of take anybody who's willing to come in and get a haircut. You know, I'm not. I'm actually doing really well right now. Like I don't want to boast, but like it's
okay. You can boast. Be proud of yourself.
I'm hitting my 3rd year now.
That's awesome.
And having my shop, and so like things have been working really well as far as like the Instagram and like putting out and stuff like that. So but
I saw a little bit of your Instagram. Brian was looking at it, and I'm like, what are we watching? And he's like, oh, that's his Instagram. So
I'm starting to have
most
a lot more fun.
Like they show the after of like, here's the fade.
Yeah.
And they just show the different patterns they can do and stuff like that. And you try to have fun with it.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like your personality comes out in it.
Thank you. Yeah, that's something I definitely wanted to do. Like that was to call back like to earlier, like the pivot. So being in jewelry and being in sales, I almost wanted to provide a luxury style barbershop. I thought like Salem could really benefit from that.
Like an experience.
Right, exactly. But I realized that Salem is not the area for that, and that's okay, right? Like if I was in Portland, I could hit a whole different market. And there's nothing wrong with that. But I myself am kind of like an odd fellow. So I'm trying to like coin the phrase like a geeky, like my barbershop is going to be, or it is, a geeky high fashion gentleman's barbershop.
I like it.
You know, and so I think you can definitely have style and fashion, but still love Star Wars and things like that. You know what I mean? And I know a lot of guys who want that, and I'm finding a huge niche and area of men and people coming in that are just loving that, and they don't know that area because no one's ever taught them, right? You know.
I think there is a market for it, because I've tried to find like barbers like, oh, they're gonna do like the full like beards thing.
Yeah.
And I've gone into some before, and it's like they sit you down, and all of a sudden the door opens and like 4 other people walk in, and you can feel the tension.
Yeah.
Like, oh shit! And so he starts rushing and getting you done, then shoves you out of the chair. It's like, oh no, I thought that was gonna be a little bit longer.
Right, like your appointment time, get some actual like service.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So it does get. I mean, some people try to max out as much of their day as possible.
Right.
And so, that time they could have spent, they figure, well, I can probably get 2 more appointments in if I just shorten this up a little bit.
Right. Which, I mean, different ways of thought, right? It's not my way. Like, I don't understand that. Like, well, I do understand it. I shouldn't say that. It's not how I decided to run my business. I would rather charge what is a decent amount that's not too much for the client, but also pays my bills, right? And be able to take my time and make sure my product comes out well. Yeah. And that also, like, people feel comfortable as well. I think that's where the experience side of it comes in as well. Like, I want somebody to come and have that good experience, right? And feel like they've been taken care of and they're happy to pay that amount because they're not just a number. So,
funny story about a good experience I had with a barber.
Yeah.
I'm like, where is this going?
I was like, I'm fully in. Let's do that. Yeah.
So I found this guy. He had decent reviews. He had pictures and stuff. That's usually what
I know where this is going.
It's classic consumer. You check out the reviews. Yeah.
It's like, okay,
that's a good story.
I'll do this. And so I booked the appointment online, and then the day of, I get the message from this guy, and it says, hey, this is so and so. We got your appointment scheduled, but I actually moved to a new address. So the appointment's not going to be at this address. Here's a new address. It's like, okay, whatever. He left,
Yeah.
And so
I changed shops, maybe.
Changed shops, and so I show up and like, this is a house.
Shops.
Yeah.
This is a house in a really bad part of the town. I don't think he gave me the right address. And then all of a sudden over in the corner I see like he's got like a minibus he's got graphics on.
Oh, he's like, yeah. He's like a travel guy. I
was like, okay. So it's going to be in this minibus, and then I say, hey, I'm here. Do I knock on the door? Or he's like, no, just go underneath the garage, because he's got the garage like halfway open. He's like, oh, okay.
Just like crawl in.
So
I crawl in.
I duck my head, go underneath into the garage, and it's like, this is like our garage.
Yeah.
It's trashed. Yeah. And except he's got
this
is
little...
like
our garage. It's trashed.
It's trashed.
I mean, whose garage is it? Let's be real. I don't have one, but if I did, it would be trashed.
So he's got a light set up. He's got like a little space, just a round circle, just clear it out from the trash. And he's got, a chair, a barber
like
chair.
Box walls all around you.
Yeah. He says, come on in. I'm just moving. I'm going to do this, this mobile barber, but I'm just setting up my garage for now. I was like, okay. That should have been like my sign there. It's like, okay, well, we'll just get through it. And so I sit down, and we're getting halfway through, and he's got the garage halfway open, and I hear outside this guy says, I'm going to shoot your fucking dog.
Oh my God.
And then all of a sudden his door opens up. His wife says, he's back again. It's like, what's going on? He's like, call the police. And he leaves me halfway through getting my haircut.
Yeah.
I've got the little white cape on. And I'm like looking around like, what's going on? I can hear the neighbor outside the garage yelling. I can hear them on their back patio yelling at him. And I don't know what to do. I don't know if there's going to be gunshots or what. Yeah. It's like, okay.
You're like, is this how I die, looking like this?
I'm here.
Like... Yeah.
It's like...
Is my iPhone location on?
They'll be like,
you don't understand how like vulnerable you feel when you're sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
You got half your head shaved, and you're wearing the cape. And
so you're just
a head.
Down.
You're just a head sticking out. And you're just kind of looking around like, do I barrel roll underneath the garage door? And
that's your exit. That's right.
Do I keep the cape on, or do I take the time to take it off if the gunshots start happening? And am I just running down the street in this random like neighborhood with a cape flying behind me, and the neighbors see me looking like I just had brain surgery?
I mean, if they heard the gunshots, I think they would understand. Yeah.
It was so weird. And so he came back in. He finished it, and he's like.
Did he ever tell you?
Shaking when he came back in?
Oh yeah, he's
I mean, well, he just had to deal with a guy with a gun. Yeah, I mean.
And as I'm leaving, the cops show up.
So what was the explanation? Like, I got to know the tea. What was the explanation?
His dog, I think, was like. I mean, I think the dog was kind of getting into the neighbor's
like a little
yard,
aggressive or getting,
and the guy was just getting tired of it.
Right.
And so it was
that
just
was his
ongoing.
point.
Yeah, just that's so crazy.
It's like
I just remember Brian calling me, and he's like, he sounds all panicked. I'm like, what's wrong? He's like, I just got my haircut. I'm like, okay.
And you're like, is it that bad?
You're never gonna believe what happened. I'm thinking he got like a bad haircut or something.
Yeah.
He starts telling me the story. I'm like, what? What do you mean? Like. Wait, so you're in this guy's garage, and he's like trying to like repaint the whole story.
Why are you doing in this guy's garage? I'm
like, why did you
She's
go
like,
in?
you still went in after you had a barrel roll? Like, that should have been Like the barrel should have been like,
Like,
I don't know if this is normal. Like,
So that's what I'm saying. I do appreciate a level of service.
Right.
And this was probably down a little bit below my
had
expectations.
room
I
for
mean,
growth.
yeah, I would hope so. Yeah, below your
It makes a good story.
You're a
but,
good
yeah.
sport though. Like, how funny though. Like, I joke about like not but I would have barrel rolled right under it too. Like, honestly, I'd be like, oh, cool. Like, is there gonna be like, is this Ninja Warrior? Do I have like a
Like,
next
what
little like thing?
Like, this is fun.
Yeah, it's a hard sell to get people to come to your house. I had a home shop for a bit, so I started professionally barbering in January after I got out of school. And then COVID hit in March, and they started like closing things down and everything like that, right? And I made it through. Like they closed us down, they reopened. I was in a barbershop for a year, and then things got a little like they closed down schools again. And my son decided, because I share him 50-50 with his mom, we actually have a really good situation for what it is, and I'm very thankful for that. But he had decided to stay with me primarily during that time instead of going back and forth, right? Because we were trying to close down bubbles, and so. I came home at that time as well, and I wasn't working quite yet because there was concern of bringing people in the house. He has asthma, and I've almost lost him to it. So like in the beginning, that's what, they told us, like, if your kid has asthma, he's dying. You know what I mean?
Oh
And
my
that was like,
gosh.
as a father who almost like when I say I almost lost him to it, like, I mean, I went into his room one night and he was barely able to breathe, help me as he was falling off the bed. And I took him to the Salem emergency like room, and he was at like, I don't remember the levels. I'm going to say the wrong amount, but he was below where he should be, and they weren't able to get him to keep going up. They could only hold him where he was at. So he had to go to Dornbecker's, and he was there for like a week and a half before they could get his oxygen levels and to where he could maintain himself.
How terrifying.
So like it was very close, right? So to have that experience already once, and we almost lost him to a peanut allergy as well too. Like this kid should have like died 7 times already. You know what I mean? Like but he's resilient. I've raised him. He's tough. As much as I don't tell it, you got to keep him tough. I don't tell him he's tough, right? And, and then, no, I'm just kidding. But so it was really scary, right? And we really locked down in the beginning. But then when we started to learn more and started opening up things again as well, like I started a home shop at that time. And I sold our dining room table out and everything like that, and cleared that fully out and made it into a full-on barbershop.
Oh, wow.
Because when if I do something, I'm going to commit in like 100%, like
Sure.
almost too much sometimes. Like I need to
Totally agree.
Yeah, I mean, like if you're going to do something, right? Why not do it right? Like just do it.
Go big or go
And
home.
so that's how I feel. Like even like with everything. And so like when I quit my job, I cashed out my 401 that I had as well, and I cashed
You
it
were
into me.
all
Like I
in.
was all
Yeah.
in. So I spent like over $2,000 building a barbershop in my apartment.
But you consider this more like an investment.
And I do 100%. I consider it invest in myself. And I mean, and the 2,000 wasn't just my whole 401 as well, right? You're like, well, that wasn't a big deal. No, but like helping pay bills while getting through school and things like that, so I could take out small college loans, right? Because when you're going through school, you're there Monday through Friday, and it's 40 hours a week, just like a job. So like being a dad, I'm there during the day. I come home, my son's out of school. Luckily his mom would work with me, and she'd pick him up after school, and then I would get him from her, on my days, But then, I'd have to put him to bed and then immediately start like working as well again to be able to pay bills and get things done. It was a crazy schedule. But that's why, like, again, like if you're going to do something, you do it 100%, right? So I made sure I had everything I could to make it work the best way I could.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So you went from home shop to
shop. The shop.
Yeah.
And that was, 3 years ago now in April. I looked at a couple different places. That actually wasn't the first. I had another place on lock over... I don't know if I should mention the place. They kind of did me dirty. Yeah. So I'll leave, because I'm classy, I'll leave their name out of it. There was a place over off Market and that I was looking at, and I started talking with the lady there. I forget her name. She was like the lady that runs the place, right? The manager essentially. And I told her that I wanted to open up a barbershop. She was like, okay, well, this is the spot we have. This is the amount it is. The owner normally doesn't like having barbershops in this area though. And I'm like, okay, so like, am I just done then? You know what I mean? And she's like, but like, tell me what you want, like, she's like, cause I told her I wanted a 1-man barbershop. I wasn't going to open like a big one with a lot of traffic going through. And so she was willing to hear me out essentially. And that it was going to be more personable, and that like really you would have one person coming in and out, at those times, and that was going to be more of a high fashion, high end barbershop, that it wasn't just going to be rowdy. You know, I wasn't going to be super loud or anything like that. And she was like, okay, I think I can sell it to the owner. And like, we were, you know, emailing this whole time, and she got back to me and she was like, you know, he's going to be okay with it. And then there was like, so we start discussions. Like there was carpet in there. I didn't want the carpet anymore. That was like such a hard thing to find. Cause like anytime somebody's renting a new place, they usually just put carpet in. Right. So then I come in, I'm like, hey, this is beautiful. I want to tear this carpet up though. And they're like, we just put it in.
You're like, thank
That's
you.
gross
But...
for a barbershop. You can't have carpet.
No. Why would you want that? Right. Could you imagine like you walk in, your barber's like vacuuming rather than like, that's just weird. Like one, plus the OCD and autism in me, like it would never come out of the cart. Like that would be so filthy. Like I couldn't even work there. Like, but so, and I would even offer to pay it. You know what I mean? To put it in and add it in myself at my cost. You know, like that's how willing I was just to get into a place, because it is hard to like sell somebody to come to your house. Yeah. You know, you're like, oh, come to my place. It's at my apartment. And they're like, oh yeah, you're a barber, huh? Yeah, like
you sound legit.
Yeah, exactly. You're gonna use the same shears my mom uses to cut fabric with, like, you know. And you're like, what? But so, you know, it was really a hard search, and I found this place, and it was within my price range, and I was really happy about it. And it seemed like we had really good negotiations going back and forth. They were like, yeah, you have to use our like, he owns a bunch of stuff, you know, and so he's like, you have to use my, like, he really was double dipping on me. He was like, you have to use my construction team. We also are keeping the carpet, and you have to pay me to have my like, I have to pay what he would charge to have his construction team to come in to remove the carpet.
That sounds wonderful for him.
Right? So yeah, he's essentially paying his own people to come keep his own carpet. You know what I mean? And I'm paying for it. Yeah. But like, I was so invested. I was like, okay, cool. Like, so let's type up the contracts. Like, how about you take they told me this was the cost. I was like, perfect. Can we take that and add it over the 3-year lease? And I'll actually add on another $25 to each month as well. So you'll make some money off me. That way I don't have to pay you straight up right off the bat. And they were like, okay, that's fine. So like, I'm waiting on them to sign a contract. And she says, like, we come to terms, right? And she's like, I'll get back with you. And I wait like a couple days, you know, because I'm trying to like not be on top of them, but I'm also, you know, very anxious. And because every day means more money I'm losing because I'm not cutting, right? Yeah. And I call like after 3 days, and I'm like, hey, can I speak with, we'll just say Jessica, I don't know her name, right? You know, and so they're like, oh, she's not here anymore. And I'm like, oh, did she have her baby? She was pregnant. You know, did she have her baby? Like, that's great. You know, she should have like paperwork going for me. Like, this is my name. I'm the Barbershop. And this lady's like, give me a second. You're going to have to give me a second. And I'm like, okay. And it puts me on hold, and like anybody you hear that, you're like, that's not good. Yeah.
This is not going to go well.
This is not what I wanted. And so then she comes back on the phone. She goes, you're going to have to call Bob. And so I'm like, all right. And so she's like, he's old. So his little ear things go through his Bluetooth on his cell phone. So you have to call his cell phone, you know. And I'm like, no problem, you know. Working at Verizon, I helped a lot of people set those up with their phone. So I was very aware of them. And I gave him a call, and he's like, hey, how you doing? And I was like, good, Bob. It's a pleasure to talk to you. Like, I think you're really going to love the barbershop that I'm going to put into your location. You know, I don't think it's going to be a lot different than what you were expecting. And I'd love even if you stop by and get a haircut sometime, you know, and kind of see what I'm developing here. And he was like, yeah, so that place is already rented out. And I was like, what? And he was like, yeah, one of the other tenants came in the other day and saw that it was open and wanted it, and so we rented it out to him. I go, well, it was promised to me, though. And he's like, yeah, but there wasn't a contract. And I go, that's because you guys hadn't typed up the contract yet, Bob. Like, I've been trying to sign one with you for over 2 weeks. And, yeah, and he was like, well, yeah, that's just, you know, how business is kind of thing. And I'm just like, what? Yeah, you know, and he's like, well, I have this other place. You know, it actually has like 2 rooms and a huge bathroom and all this stuff. And I was like, I don't need all that space. Yeah. And he's like, well, I've got it available. And I go, okay, well, can I get that for the cost of the other one? And he goes, no, it's bigger. And I go, well, exactly, Bob. So like, what do you like? Do you have a real option for me? Or like, what are we doing here? You know?
And it's so defeating, but like you look back and like, man, I really dodged a bullet probably with that.
Well, and that's exactly, yeah, you're 100%. Like, I really did dodge a bullet. Like, it was very defeating. Like that day, I was very like defeated is the perfect word. I don't know how to say it any better. Like it was just one of those like Eeyore days. You know, you're walking around, like, nothing's good. You know. Did you guys ever read that old book? Very bad, no good, very bad day. I'm not saying it right, but you know what I'm talking. Like it's just everything's bad, right? And so, my ex-girlfriend at the time, she was my girlfriend at the time. She's my ex-girlfriend now. I'm saying it correctly. And she, you know, we went for a hike and stuff like that, and she saw it, and she was looking for houses as well. So she started going on, like, I think it was Zillow or one of those apps. I mean, you guys actually would really know all those apps really well. And she found the place I'm at now, and it's bigger, and it's cheaper, and I love it.
It's cool.
And
Where's that at? I haven't been there.
On edge of Kaiser. You know where the Burger King is in Kaiser when you come into Kaiser?
So the Ford dealership?
Yeah.
And then like you were saying, the Burger King?
Yeah.
There's a gray building between the two.
Okay.
I'm that gray building.
Okay.
Yeah. There's two of them. Technically, I'm the second one in, and then we're in the basement there.
So is that, there used to be, that's where we got our first mortgage at. I think.
Oh, how
there used
funny.
to be a mortgage place there.
Oh, I'm sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's been tons of places. Yeah. Like my buddy had
I think
his...
if I'm thinking of the same place. Yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, there's been a bunch of things. Like my buddy Andrew had he's got a, I'm going to say it wrong, like a car driving school that he had, like ODEC, I think it is, or something like that,
yeah.
like out of there.
So it's like you got the lot for Skyline and then it's just right there, right?
Yeah.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yep.
Yeah, it's amazing. We're on Google as well, so I mean, yeah, if anybody wants to find the place.
Any plans on expanding out past that too?
Absolutely, yeah. I've been loving my place. I'll probably try to keep my own place as long as I can.
Yeah.
While I like getting my hair cut in an area with a lot of people and talking, but I love working in my area with having a one-on-one experience, and I have a lot of people who love that one-on-one experience too, and so I like being able to provide that.
Yeah.
As a businessman, there's not a lot of money in just working by yourself, right?
Sure.
So I do, and I'd love to build a brand. I really do. Like, I would love to have Ollie's Cuts on the side of pomade someday, and beard balms and things like that.
Awesome.
Like, I would love that. That would be a second part to the dream. So like right now was the initial part. Like, I have a sign coming that's like, one time there was a boy who dreamed of having a barbershop, you know, and that's going up. Like, I can't wait. I'm really excited about that. But I do plan to, I've got a couple different like things on the burner right now. So there's, I haven't looked at any specific locations, but Albany as an area right now, because I've talked to a couple barbers who want to like step up their game a little bit in the sense, like they're great barbers. Like one's working at a Great Clips right now, which is like a McDonald's of haircuts. Like they really are. And like,
it's where a lot of people start.
Right? It is. Well, and I say that because not even to take away the talent from the barber, but Great Clips specifically, they have a system set up, just like McDonald's does with their drive-through. Great Clips wants to get you in there and have you done within 15 minutes because they're not basing it off of quality, they're basing it off of quantity. They
it's a numbers game to them.
Exactly. So like my buddy went there because he wanted to learn how to cut quicker. They will teach you how to cut quicker. They will teach you how to cut corners, things like that. You know, that's why, but they want it cut that way every single time too, because they are trying to present like McDonald's. No matter where you're at, if you're in New York, if you're in California, if you're in Florida, you can go to a Great Clips and get your hair cut. It's going to be the same way.
It's all walk-ins,
right?
pretty much, right?
Exactly, yeah. So, which has a place, right? Because just like in the restaurant fields, you have your nicer places and you have your McDonald's. Like everybody can.
I got a half
right?
hour. I'm going to go get a Big Mac and a haircut.
Right, exactly. You know, so I mean, the thing about that though is I think about any time you've ever been to a Great Clips. And it's only taken a half hour. It's never done that, right?
Yeah.
Like I can sell against Great Clips and Sports Clips all day because it's like they're like, oh, well, you're an appointment guy and I'm a walk-in guy. I go, yeah, but why would you want to make why would you not want to make an appointment with me? Maybe have to wait 15 minutes if I'm going a little over because I like to pay attention to detail, and then know that you're going to be right in. Or you can walk into somewhere, sit there for an hour or two, have them spend 15 minutes on you, and then kick you out the door.
Yeah.
Where's the better value? You know what I mean? Like, and so. It's just, yeah, I don't see the point. But for some people, you know, it's their thing, and that's okay. Like, but that's where like we're trying to bring a lot of people away from that. And I have some barbers who want to get away from that. They're ready to invest in themselves, you know, and actually put more into like their quality of art because it is a form of art. I love shaping people's heads and hair and everything and giving them that look. And it is like the funny thing is, like, in the barber world, like, because it is art, some barbers get really angry with you if you put a hat on afterwards. You know what I mean? Like,
They're like, I just put all that
big
time.
faux pas. Yeah, it's like, would you just, like, if a painter just, like, painted a beautiful picture, just, like, step on it? You know what I mean? They're like, wow, how could you do that? Where with me, like, I guess this is, like, my years in sales. Like, I look at it, I'm like, it's a product. You bought it. I don't care what you do with it. Yeah. You know, yeah. No, well, yeah. No, that'd be different. They're like, I'm totally bald.
Brian's
what are you worried
don't be
about?
offended. I'm putting my
Yeah,
hat
he's
on.
like, I hope this isn't bad. No, that makes sense, though. No, the bald look with a beard is, like, a strong look, too. Like, it's a strong, like,
It's
it
a
looks
statement
good. Yeah,
look,
I love it. Like, I don't know
And
if
the
I
plaid
could pull
shirt.
it off.
Yep.
Yeah,
The
like,
bald look with, you know, if I shaved and if I was bald and I'm like, oh, he's got, what disease does he have? Does he have leukemia?
oh, if you didn't have the beard or
Yeah.
No, but see, you have a good thickness about you as well. Like, if you were, like, a really super, like, skinny guy, you know, that looked sickly, like you had polio or something, that would be a completely different. But, like, you have a good thickness about you. You look like you work out, you get things done.
I got
you know?
good thickness.
Yeah. Is that that sounds bad, I guess.
I have lost a couple pounds, so
Yeah.
you know, I'm not quite as the thick.
Well, I mean that
as
as in, like, strength with muscle and things like that. Yeah, as far as that goes. Like,
I'm just gonna laugh real quick. I'm not
yeah. Well, see, like, as a guy, like, growing up, like, you always wanted to be strong and big, right? You know what I mean? You didn't want to be like that little skinny guy getting like sand. Like, I was that guy. That's what I'm talking about. It was like getting sand kicked in your face. You know, no one kicked sand in my face, but
no one messed with a brawny man.
no, yeah, exactly, right. And he's got a beard. He's got.
No, he's bald. He's bald. He's bald. He's got like a big hoop earring, didn't he?
No, that's Mr. Clean.
That's Mr. Clean. I get
Yes.
my bald guys mixed
You
up.
get your bald
Yeah.
guys mixed up.
That's so funny, Mr. Clean. There's a Mr. Clean at my gym.
Is he?
Oh.
Yeah,
He's got like white shirt, white pants.
Well, sometimes, and he's just like, he's got that look though. Like, he's got the clean face, the super bald, and he's just he's never working out though. I mean,
Really?
yeah, I'm sure he's a nice guy, but yeah,
He's
like,
just scoping out the equipment.
oh,
just
all the
walking,
time. Like, he's always, every time, like, because I'm there for a while. Because I'm training for a triathlon, I've got things I'm doing, right? So, and like, I guess, like, if you're out doing something, right, you can note, and everybody else is doing, like, similar things, and then there's somebody not doing it, like, they're just kind of, like, they
stand
stick
out
out,
a bit,
right?
yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, while everybody else is kind of, like, doing their own thing, like, he's sitting there, like, watching. Do you know what I'm saying? Like,
That's not weird at
always
all.
no, it's so weird.
Wow.
And, like, I call him creepy, like, Mr. Clean. Like, that's
He sounds like
but
it.
but I'm sure he's a really nice guy, and maybe I'm just missing his sets while I'm doing mine. Maybe we're every single time.
Every single time.
Every single time. And, like, it's been to the point, like, where he sits near machines, and, like, you have to go, like, that machine. So you go over there, you know, and then, like, he'll just get up and leave and go to another machine, and you're like, did you just sit here the whole time? Like, now, like, you're just, so.
It's like he's the loss prevention or something for the.
Yeah.
He's like the supervisor.
Yeah.
He's just making
I
sure.
do that. But, like, do you guys do that, though? Like, so to jump into something, like associate people, like, you see him and you're like, there's a jacked Harry Potter there, too. Do you know what I mean? Like
He's got
I
a little
just,
scar.
yeah, no, he looks like, I saw him and I was like, you're a jacked Harry Potter. That's exactly who you are. Like, and I want to tell him, but I don't, at the same time, I'm like,
Like,
I don't
Jack Harry
know
Potter
how
might
well
kiss my
this will
ass.
go over. Yeah, like,
He's
again,
got
he's
that-
jacked,
what?
right?
What?
So-
He's like, say it again. Say it
yeah,
again.
yeah. He's like, Alcadabra. And I'm like, you know?
Call me Harry Potter again.
Yeah. I'm like, that's one of the cursed I don't know the words. Like, my sister would be so disappointed. She loves Harry Potter. Like, she'd be like, you should have known. But yeah. Do you guys ever, like, see people and you're like, that's totally
Yeah.
a version or an off-brand, you know? Yeah.
I love it. So, as far as your barbershop there, do you see yourself ever, like, teaching people? Is that kind of the direction you're going, or?
I would definitely love to do that someday. There was definitely talk when I first started barbering that I wanted to start a school.
Or like mentorship or something?
Yeah, like and I've done some of that already. Like, you kind of always do that. Like, I've had people come and shadow me. People let me do that with them, so you kind of pay it forward in that sense. I've had a good share of a couple people come and shadow me. Opening a school one day would be really awesome as well. Or possibly even, like, there's I've been approached by like shear companies. Like they've got like, it's kind of a sales position too, but like you go and you teach classes essentially. And then if you can sell something at the same time, right? But that kind of area didn't really like fit in what I wanted.
Not your passion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The nice thing about being able to open up barbershops is that kind of happens as well, right? So, like the guys who mentored me when I first got out of school and showed me kind of different ways and ways to do things, like even down to how to set appointments and talking with clients, which are things you don't think about. You're like, oh, I'm just going to cut hair. I just need to know how to cut hair. And there's so much more than that, right?
Because you got to be a people person too if you're going to be successful.
100%, yeah. Well, and then even thinking about like, I'm good at selling myself everywhere because of sales. So like I'm the asshole in the line that's like, oh, I love your ring. Like when I was in jewelry, I would have been like, I love your ring. That's so gorgeous. The princess cut is gorgeous. I love the 3 stones, how it presents your past, present, and future. Like it's such a beautiful ring. Yeah.
Good job, Corbin.
Yeah, right? Like, he did a great job. It's a gorgeous ring.
Out.
And then I'm like, you should come in and let me clean it so it can sparkle beautifully. It's totally free.
I would totally come in.
Of course you would,
and then
right?
I'd walk out with like 5 other rings.
Exactly, yes, you would.
I see what you did there.
So I've always been like, that's like...
It's in your
if
blood.
you're not, yeah, it really, I mean, like, and so... But also to help out, like I've had a lot of people in my life show me things in different ways, like being autistic, like I haven't always picked up on social cues or things like that, right? And luckily I've had some really good friends, like lifelong friends since kindergarten, that have been like there to be like, well, like that's not, you don't like
we don't say that.
Yeah, we don't say that. I'm like, oh, okay, I didn't sorry, I didn't mean anything by it.
That,
yeah, exactly. Yeah. Or being too loud, right? Or even like, I'm like, why are people sad about this? Like, what? I don't understand.
I wondered that too, and I don't think I have,
Well, they say a lot of us, like, so how it works, like, they're finding out more and more, right? I found out, like, I was told I had ADHD and kind of just pushed to the side. And then they're like, you're just kind of weird. And, like, just get out of here. And
quirky.
So, yeah, quirky, yeah. Well, and we're not supposed to say spastic anymore. Like, apparently that's a bad word, too. But, like, I grew up being spastic, and I was like, oh, it's not a bad thing. But anyways, I'm not going to get off track. I found out when my son was diagnosed. And it's kind of funny enough because other people apparently around me knew first and never told me. So I found my son was having some trouble at school. So we took him into a counselor's, mom and I, to find out if there was something we could do to help out, and things like that, right? Through some testing and with like an occupational therapist, they came through, oh, okay, he's on the spectrum. He has some sensory needs, things like that. I got in an argument with them because I was like, that's stupid. Like, who wouldn't like those things? Like, and they're like, oh, a lot of people actually do not like, like they told me, they give us this little plastic brush, and they're like, when he gets a little worked up, you actually just brush it across his arm really gently, and that'll help calm him down, and it's just like a medicine. Think of it like you're just giving him medicine. And I'm like, that sounds amazing. Like, who wouldn't like to get their arm brushed gently? Like, are you kidding me?
And they're like,
Yeah, no, she's like, let me ask you some more questions. And I'm like, no, we're not here for me. Like, let's get going, and so we got a game plan for him and everything, and that was great, right? So we could help him kind of learn and be the best to him that he could be. And so my good friends own the Mount Angel Sausage Company in Mount Angel, funny enough.
Yeah.
And I went out there because this is, again, the son, James, is my age. Jimbo's the dad. And his parents are like my parents. Like, I've known them that long. I broke James's arm in kindergarten. Like, that's how long we've been friends, right? His dad gave me one of my first jobs. He taught me how to work. Like, we're very close. So I go out there because I think I just had to catch up with him or something. And I see Jimbo. And he's like, hey, how you doing? And Jimbo, to give you like an idea of this guy, he used to be a weightlifter. He's like over 6 foot. He used to run an offshore oil rig. So he's very blunt to the point. Like, he means well, but like sometimes no BS. He does not. And and we're sitting there, and he's like, how's everything? And I go, good. We found out Lyle has autism. He's on the spectrum. So found out different ways we can help him out to be able to, learn in school and be able to focus better and all that. And he goes, oh, just like you, huh? Like, without missing a beat. And I look back at him and I go, what? And he looks at me like, and he gives me this look like, I'm not the first one to tell you this, right? Yeah. And he just goes, well, I got stuff to do, and walks off. I'm like, I have so many questions.
This is
what I mean?
Earth-shattering for you, like, what?
And I'm like, am I autistic? And so I go to my buddy James, and he's in their meet room. And I'm like, I'm not trying to bother you, but I need a moment.
Yeah.
Like, this is a friend moment. I need you right now. And he's like, okay. Because he can see I'm a little flustered. And I was like, do you think I'm autistic? And he's like, he kind of like does the look around, you know what I mean? Like, seeing like it. He's like, he like leans in and he's like, are you not? Yeah. And I was like, I think I might be, man. I think I might be. And he's like, yeah. He's like, well, I mean, we just always thought you were. You know, because like I said, like,
It's just like an
when I
open
learned to
secret,
work with
sort of,
them, yeah, like, so his parents would talk about it. Like, because I started working with him when I was 14, you know, and doing stuff like that.
So they've seen the whole
The
progression.
whole spectrum, yeah. And they were like, because they would see me like get a little flustered and like, because I was still learning about myself, right? And like understanding feelings and emotions and stuff like that. And so they totally knew the whole time. Yeah, they're just like, he's a little different. He's a good kid though.
You're
you
like,
know,
well,
yeah.
what's somebody gonna tell me?
Yeah, exactly, right. And so like after that, I I work out, and I also see a counselor. I think for a lot of guys and people in general should like. I think men's health, and that's something like I try to push with all my clients too, is like super important as far as like mental health. Like a lot of us don't look into that, and I think especially generational. I think we might have talked about this before too. Like it wasn't pushed for us, right? It was like just bottle it up and don't feel anything, and that's how you're
a man.
Yeah. So I'm just a big strong man, and so I see a counselor as well because I work on myself all around, right? And I was talking with him about it, and he was like, well, you make really good eye contact. You have all these like other things. And I go, those are all very learned like things. I go, anytime, even now, like I'm looking at your guys' bridge of your nose. I'm not looking you in your eyes. It's a trick. It feels like I'm looking you in your eyes, right?
You know, I think
but
it's
I'm
for
absolutely
everybody.
not.
Like, do I look at the left eye or the right eye?
Right. Well, that's a hard thing too. Yeah. Absolutely. So we started, and we talked about like social situations and certain things, and like there are textures I cannot eat. Like I will vomit. Like it cannot be in my mouth. Like, and like my parents used to think I was dramatic, right? Like they were like, "Oh, come on, you can't handle this. Like get over it." And I'm like, and I would be like, gagging. They'd be like, "Oh my gosh." And now like I laugh because I think about that with other people, and I'm like, are they actually just being dramatic, or is it, is it actually something?
I need to ask you a few questions.
Yeah, right. And so so he was like, we talked about it, and he was like, "Oh, okay, well, yeah. Now that you kind of told me a little bit about this, like, take a test online," and I did, and it came back like with that saying, because he was like, he's like, find a website that's quality. There's so much information on the internet nowadays. They're not going to diagnose you because they can't legally, but it's basically going to be one of the same tests we're going to give you. So take it, find a good website, take it. If it says something, we'll look more into it. If it doesn't, then you have ADHD. There's a lot of similarities with them. Let's move forward, type deal. And I was like, great. So my girlfriend at the time, we're driving, and she's just like excited. She's like so stoked. She's like, you're autistic.
Places bets.
So she's like so like, she's like there'll be days like I'm being told I'm like being emotionless, and I'm like, I feel fine. I don't feel like I'm sorry. Like I love you. I love you. I don't know what to say. Like, does that not fix everything? But and of course it doesn't. But so she's like getting all excited, and like I'm driving, and she found like a test online, and we're answering it as I'm driving, and then she just starts like laughing, like hysterically, like not meanly, but you know what I mean, just like I told you so, kind of laughing, and it came back with high signs of autism and high signs of Asperger's. It's
no way.
Yeah, oh yeah. And so then I went back and I told my guy about it, and he was like, yeah, I was kind of expecting. After we talked about it, I thought more about it and like our conversations and stuff. And he was like, kind of like makes sense. And so he offered to like look into it more and get like an official diagnosis and stuff like that. But for me, that was enough. I don't like, there's no, getting an official diagnosis will change nothing else, right? For me, as far as like, I just felt awkward in certain ways, or even with doing things, right? And so like knowing now just is better. But
so more like high functioning.
Exactly. Well, they say with autism how it works is like you look at it more like there was a really great visual once of like two penguins, and they had different tie-dyes essentially, but both were just as much autistic. They just had different types, right? So like where one might have like a bigger portion of green, the other one had a smaller portion, right? And like they say it's a spectrum too, and that most of us are on there somewhere, but maybe I have 19 things and you have 2. Do you know what I'm saying? Gotcha. And we may not even have the same. We may have completely different things as far as that goes too. Like my son and I, we share stuff, but we also don't share other things. Like he can't handle roller coasters or anything like that. I love being thrown around. And like in that kind of sense, you know what I mean? That adrenaline where he would it's too much for him. He can't handle it, But then like there are foods. Like he picked up my texture thing. as far as foods go. So, but I think I got way off track,
No,
It's
as
okay.
I normally do.
It's okay.
So
I'm like, where were we going with this?
So being a barber, I mean,
yes.
this obviously ties into like the OCD part of
Yes,
it.
that's
It's
kind
a
of where.
good
Thank you.
thing
That's
to
where we're
have.
trying. Thank you for bringing me back. But I love it. Like, it's a great thing to have. Like, it's something that's really helped me out in my career a lot. As far as like being able to keep on with appointments and scheduling and things like that, keeping my place super clean, because hygiene is so important. If you ever go into a hairstylist place or a barbershop, and there's a difference, like, be gentle too, because there's a difference from working. You know what I mean? And then a week-old hair amount build up. You know what I'm saying?
You can literally form a Wookiee out of what's on the floor.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, like, and even then, like, I think everybody runs their business differently.
Yeah.
I think you should sweep up after every single client, personally, because it's just better to keep ahead of the game. Some people don't, but that comes back to the people who don't are probably the people who are going to try to fit in 5 different haircuts in that hour, right? Where I'd rather do like just the proper service and be able to make sure that everything's clean and sanitary in between.
Well, you're a great barber.
Thank you.
I have experience. I can say that. I'll probably go on and make that Google review too, because I know how important those things are.
Oh yeah, my bread and butter. Yeah.
So, any plugs we can give for you?
How can we support you?
Yeah.
You can follow my Instagram, which is Oli's Cuts. There's 2. There's one with a picture of me, which is an older one, and then the one with my logo now with the lion on it.
Is it the same lion that's on your hand?
It is, yeah. The lion represents my son.
Oh.
So he's Leo, and then his name means lion also. So I've always called him my cub. So anything like with lion with me ever is for my son.
I love
That's
that.
awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. He's always been my driving force. So, you can also find Google as well. I've got a lot of good reviews. Find me in Kaiser at the actual location, Tuesdays through Saturdays, cutting all day, and by appointment only. But if you call in and I don't have anybody, I'm sure I'd probably take you. You know.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me.
We'll have you back on so you can tell us more stories about whatever you want to go off on.
Yeah.
Or what you're doing next.
Yeah. No, it was really fun. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you guys. It was a blast.